Thousands of voters in Nevada have already weighed in on who should be the next Democratic presidential candidate, but the caucus is still days away.
That's right. The candidates are taking shots at each other, trying to pave their path forward. KCAL 9 political reporter Randy Page is here now to take a shot at explaining how early votes work in a caucus state.
Are you ready for another caucus after Iowa?
I don't know.
I'll tell you, there are a lot of blood pressures rising over this whole thing. In fact, it's a whole new ballgame in Nevada. The early caucus state has made some big changes for this primary election. The idea is to give more people a chance to vote, but it also makes the results a whole lot more unpredictable.
Nevada's not been heard from yet.
I want a government that works for us, and that's why I'm here.
Democracy in action in Nevada, like you've never seen it before.
Are you ready to make history, to vote early or make history on Saturday in the caucuses?
This Nevada primary is historic because voters here have never been allowed to do this before. They're voting early. And instead of voting for just one candidate like in a traditional primary, they are allowed to rank the candidates. So as in other caucuses, if their first choice doesn't get at least 15% of the precinct's votes, their vote will go to the second choice, or their third, or even fourth if need be.
That's new, and it gives a lot of people an opportunity to participate in the process who never before would have been able to.
Jack Pitney is a professor of politics at Claremont McKenna College and an expert on presidential elections.
A lot of culinary workers, a lot of shift workers in Nevada, and they weren't able to participate before. So that's a good thing for democracy.
Here are the latest polls from Nevada showing Bernie Sanders on top with a quarter of the vote and Joe Biden not far behind. These polls are based on likely voters. The question is, with all these new voters lining up at the polls, it's anybody's guess how they're going to vote.
Really difficult to predict what's going to happen because we don't have any experience with this hybrid system.
Think of it as part primary with a secret ballot for the early voters and open caucuses like we saw in Iowa, with voters openly telling their friends and neighbors who they're supporting. And there are concerns tonight the caucuses on Saturday might be full of problems like the ones we saw in Iowa, the delayed announcement of the vote for days.
A lot of the people are going to be, my age, which means a lot of people my age aren't very good at electronics. And that introduces the element of human error, and combine that with the possibility of electronic error, and, well, you see what happened in Iowa.
Professor Pitney says a lot is at stake for many of these candidates. After all, Nevada is the first primary contest with a diverse population of voters. 1/3 of the population is Latino. 13,000 are so-called dreamers. Close to 15% are union members, and women make up a majority of federal and state lawmakers as well as the state Supreme Court.
Time to get up and take back this country.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is hoping for a strong showing to carry momentum into South Carolina on February 29th.
Biden, if he takes yet another defeat in Nevada, that puts him in a bad position in South Carolina where his polls have been going down. And if he can't win Nevada, if he can't win South Carolina, it's hard to see how he can sustain a campaign.
Senator Bernie Sanders is hoping to have a showing here like he did in 2016 with more than 50% of the vote. Mayor Pete Buttigieg is hoping to keep the momentum from a first-place finish in Iowa. Senator Amy Klobuchar is hoping to keep the wind in her sails from her third-place finish in New Hampshire, and Senator Elizabeth Warren needs to finish strong to turn around her disappointing finishes in both Iowa and New Hampshire.
If she does poorly in Nevada, that's going to be a problem for her as well.
So what is the most important thing to be looking for once the results come in from Nevada?
Order of finish. Is Sanders going to come out on top, and by how much? Who is going to play second? Is Buttigieg going to score an unexpected second place? How's Klobuchar going to do? And if Biden finishes third, fourth, or fifth, that is terrible news for him, and that's going to have huge consequences for his campaign.
And on Wednesday night, another debate, this time in Las Vegas, and one big wild card is waiting in the wings. Billionaire Michael Bloomberg only needs one more good polling number to be included in the debate, and he says he'll be there if they'll let him.
All right, Randy, thanks so much. Here now again a look at the key dates coming up in campaign 2020. Next up is the Democratic debate. It's coming up in Las Vegas. As Randy mentioned, it's on Wednesday. followed by the Nevada caucuses on Saturday.
Then it's on to South Carolina and Super Tuesday. On March 3rd, voters from several states, including here in California, will head to the polls.